Now, Donald Trump's approval ratings have hit a sad new low. And his presidency continues to fail spectacularly, and with it, any confidence that he can actually get any of his priorities passed despite having a fully Republican Congress. Again, super sad. A new Quinnipiac University poll has found that Trump now has a job approval rating of a sad 34%. Ouch. Compared to a 57% who disapprove of the way the president is handling his job. So they're looking at what Trump is doing and is like, dude, you suck. We are not winning. We are not tired of winning because we haven't started winning yet. I thought at this point we were supposed to be winning, but not. But I guess not. Now, that's actually down further from even last month, when 37% of respondents approved the job the president was doing and 55% disapproved. So the question is, why is it down so much? Well, I mean, I alluded to it already, but there's more to it. Number one, he hasn't really done anything. Nothing worth of note other than try to push for a disastrous health bill that nobody wanted, as well as started the process of pulling us out of the Paris Agreement, which is also incredibly unpopular. Most Americans actually want us to remain in the Paris Agreement because they actually want to do something about climate change. Also wants us to do something about alternative energy and invest more in renewable energy, and wind, solar, and nuclear, and not into natural gas or coal. So those things obviously make him very unpopular. However, one of the major reasons for the drop, according to this poll, is actually Russia. Turns out more Americans than even I thought are kind of concerned about the whole Russia thing. Now, the poll finds that 31% of voters think that Trump did something illegal regarding his relationship with Russia. Now, 31%, okay, that's not a majority. That's almost a third. So they think illegal. Another 29% of respondents think the president didn't do something illegal, but did something unethical regarding his relationship with Russia. 32%, of course, think the president did absolutely nothing wrong. So right now, you have just about 2/3 of people thinking he either did something illegal or unethical, versus a third of the respondents that said, no, he didn't do anything wrong. So that's the perception. Well, that looks really bad. Now, and given the way that he's been acting in regards to the investigation, even though the investigation isn't into him himself, as James Comey had revealed earlier today in his testimony, just the fact that there's an investigation, he's been getting freaked out about it. Okay. And again, I'm not surprised by the way that he has been acting, firing people and, tweeting out weird things and doing all the distractions that he's been doing. It's not a surprise that 60% of people think that he at least did something unethical. And even if he didn't, that obstruction of justice, well, that looks bad. It just looks bad. Not only that, but again, firing Comey. And after trying to make him swear loyalty to the president, and then, of course, firing, and then dropping the inquiry into alleged Russian ties. So there's some issues, right? The American people who know about this know that, hey, man, this looks really weird. This looks bad. The way he's acting, kind of funny, kind of suspicious. Now, it's even worse when it comes to his campaign advisors, Paul Manafort, Michael Flynn, of course. The way that he kept trying to call Michael Flynn, and his aides are like, you can't do that. He's under investigation. You can't call Michael Flynn. But Michael Flynn, you need to drop the investigation, James. I'd really appreciate it if you did. I hope that you would do. He's such a good guy. You need to drop that investigation. I'd appreciate it. Come on, man. 40% of 40% of voters think Trump's campaign advisors did something illegal in their relationships with Russia. Now, that is a lot bigger percentage of people that think that Trump did something illegal. While another 25% think that they did something unethical but not illegal. That is 65% of respondents. So again, they're looking at Trump's, Trump's advisors, and they see the obvious ties between Russia. I mean, again, Manafort, I believe it was Flynn actually, that was lobbying on behalf of Russian firms and on Turkey. So there's some shady shit going on there. So a lot of people have caught on to this. Now, a majority of voters, 54%, think Donald Trump is too friendly with Russia, compared to 38% who think he has the right attitude towards Russia. I'm not going to really comment too much on that because, again, I don't want to go to a war with Russia. That would be awful. But at the same time, if they did something, well, look, Putin is a dictator, essentially. He's a fascist, and, well, I don't exactly like leaders like that. I'm not a fan of fascism, okay? Now, finally, to show you how much Russia has dominated the opinions of these respondents, nearly 70% of voters are very concerned or somewhat concerned about the president's relationship with Russia. Now, that doesn't have to mean that it's what he's doing is illegal or just unethical, but just a relationship. Like, does he have a financial stake in Russian interests? We don't know. In the minds of the voters, though, it's clear that this isn't such a small issue anymore. Now, I believe that we should look into this Russian thing. There are a lot of coincidences. Those coincidences, I mean, look, it's a steady drip, drip, drip of information. And the reaction is making a lot of people think that there may be something there. Now, I also think that while it's important to cover the drip, 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 I think we spend maybe a little too much time on the drip, okay? That we're ignoring some of the other issues, ignoring some of the things that Donald Trump has actually been trying to do as well. So, again, I'm one of those people who's like, hey, let's talk about Russia. It's important to talk about this. But also, there are other things we should also talk about as well. So we shouldn't let the media dominate or we shouldn't let Russia dominate the media conversation, and we should actually talk about other things. Because things like the AHCA, which is going to be brought up for another vote, on the 14th, it's going to be fast-tracked. That's kind of an important issue. Things like LGBT, legislation. That's anti-LGBT. The stuff that we were talking about with Betsy DeVos, not enforcing any bans on discrimination. That's a problem. So there's a lot of other problems that we're talking about, or that need to be talked about when it comes to what the Trump administration is actually doing. But again, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. And so that's what we're doing here. So, but with all that aside, there seems to be enough information here or speculation to get a lot of people wondering. And the main question, I think, is what is the president hiding? What are the connections, if any? And I think that's an okay, it's a question to ask. And even if there isn't anything, there's a cloud hanging over his head, which is stopping him from being able to pursue his agenda, which, of course, is upsetting a lot of his core constituency. So from what I can see is that he is in a lot of trouble with the voters right now. That could change. This whole thing, Russia thing, turns out to be a big fat nothing, which I'm not entirely convinced that it is nothing. I'm just waiting for more concrete, actual evidence to come out. But again, he seems to be in trouble with the voters. That could change, but right now, he's on track to be doing really, really terrible, really badly because of this whole thing. And he's also right now taking the Republicans down with him. That's where you're seeing a lot of Republicans starting to distance themselves, and some of his old enemies that he made, some of the people that he ran against, like Lindsey Graham, John McCain, coming out against him as well. Very interesting. So we'll have to see what kind of effect that has on the 2018 congressional elections, if it has any. But again, what we're seeing here is laughably low approval ratings, the most unpopular president within this term. He still hasn't topped George W. Bush's low. But It might get to that point. We'll see. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.